Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today is a beautiful day to be a soap fan, and we have so much to unpack after that explosive episode. Grab a drink, get comfortable, and let's dive right into the absolute madness that just went down in Port Charles. I can't believe they actually did that. And I know we've been speculating for months. I mean, the rumors have been swirling forever since those cryptic timeline hints about a mystery character returning, but to actually see it happen on screen, to see him standing there in the flesh, I am losing my absolute mind. Over here, Morgan Corinthos is alive. Yes, the Morgan Corinthos. Our Morgan, the boy we watched blow up in Julian Jerome's car years ago because of Olivia Jerome's bomb. I have been watching the show since 2015, and let me tell you, this is hands down the best and most terrifying thing they have done in years. We all saw Carly and Sonny bury that tiny scrap of clothing because there was nothing left. We watched Sonny spiral into the darkest depressive episodes of his bipolar disorder over the guilt. We mourned him, and now he just walks into Pozzolo's like he hasn't been dead for a decade? Wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up to the beginning of the scene because the pacing and the tension were just phenomenal. So, Sonny and ADA Justine Turner are having this quiet, intimate dinner at Pozzolo's. Sonny is looking all soft and vulnerable, which we know is super rare. He's been officially stepping away from the mob, trying to go legitimate, and he thinks he's finally found. He's looking at Justine like she's his fresh start. And I'm sitting there screaming at my television because I just knew something was off about her. I mean, am I the only one who never trusted this woman? But anyway, they are having this romantic moment, and then the door opens. The camera pans up slowly, from the scuffed boots to the hardened, traumatized face. It's Morgan. But he doesn't look like the impulsive, reckless kid who died in that explosion. He looks like a man who has been through absolute hell. Honestly, the look in his eyes gave me major flashbacks to when Jason just returned from that WSB black site in Jakarta. It's that same haunted, hollow stare of someone who has survived unspeakable torture. And you'd think the first thing he would do is run into his father's arms, right? You'd think there'd be tears and hugging and, oh my god, you're alive. But no, Morgan doesn't even look at Sonny with warmth. He lifts his arm, points a shaking, furious finger directly across the table, and aims it right at Justine. He pointed right at her. Before Sonny can even process that his dead son is standing in his restaurant, Morgan drops the biggest, most devastating truth bomb in the history of Port Charles. He tells Sonny that the woman sitting across from him, the woman he is falling for, is the exact same woman who has been keeping him locked in a cage. I literally screamed so loud I woke up my dog. Justine Turner is DVX? Are you kidding me? Morgan exposes her right there in the middle of the restaurant. He says she isn't some innocent assistant district attorney. She is a deep-cover, highly trained operative, loyal to the late Ross Cullum. She was the one directly overseeing Morgan's captivity in a secret DVX facility all these years. She was his warden. I am so vindicated right now. Because think about it, guys. Remember when Justine was supposedly taken hostage by Jen Sidwell at the Jerome Art Gallery? Remember how traumatized she acted? And how that trauma is exactly what pulled Sonny closer to her? It was all a setup. It was a completely orchestrated inside job. Justine and Sidwell were working together the entire time. She played the damsel in distress perfectly to get her hooks into the biggest mob boss on the eastern seaboard. And Morgan lays it all out. He explains her entire motive, and it makes so much sickening sense. Justine didn't get close to Sonny out of love. She seduced him to monitor his transition out of the underworld. Because with Sonny stepping away from the mob, there is a massive power vacuum in Port Charles. The 5 families are gone. Selena Wu is gone. Justine was planted there to ensure that Sonny's highly lucrative shipping routes were quietly handed over to Jen Sidwell's syndicate. I mean, the absolute audacity of this woman. She sat there drinking his wine, holding his hand, acting like she cared about his soul, while she knew his son was rotting in a black site under her direct supervision. It makes me sick to my stomach. But from a storyline perspective, it is pure, unadulterated genius. Let's talk about Sonny's reaction for a second, because Maurice Bernard deserves another Emmy for the micro-expressions on his face. You can literally see his brain breaking in real time. He is paralyzed. He is looking at Morgan, the son he has grieved every single day, the son whose death nearly destroyed his marriage to Carly and his own sanity. And then he looks at Justine, the woman he just gave an ultimatum to, the woman he is trusting with his new, legitimate life. Sonny is caught in the most impossible, agonizing dilemma. Do you believe the ghost of your son, who just walked through the door looking like a traumatized stranger? Or do you believe the woman who has been sleeping in your bed? Because of course, Justine immediately flips the script. She goes into full victim mode. Her eyes well up with tears, her voice shakes, and she looks at Sonny with this perfect, manufactured innocence. She gasps and says, "Sonny, who is this man? I have no idea what he's talking about. He's insane." The gaslighting. The absolute sociopathic gaslighting. I wanted to reach through the screen and strangle her myself. She is playing the innocent ADA so well, but we know the truth. Morgan's trauma is too real. You cannot fake the kind of raw, visceral hatred that was radiating off him when he looked at her. But Sonny, oh, Sonny, I am so scared he's going to make the wrong choice here. Because Sonny's judgment when it comes to women is notoriously terrible. Remember when he trusted Nina in Nixon Falls? Remember how long it took him to see the truth then? Yeah, didn't work then either. I am terrified that Justine is going to manipulate him into thinking Morgan is an imposter, or that Morgan has been brainwashed by the DVX to attack her. Wait, let me catch my breath. Okay, back to the point. How does this connect to the wider canvas? Because this changes everything. Ross Cullum was running this massive shadow operation. We know Cullum was a dirty WSB director who was secretly working with Sidwell. We know Rocco Falconeri shot Cullum on Spoon Island to save Jason, and Jason took the fall for it. But Cullum's reach was so much deeper than we ever realized. If Cullum had Morgan Corinthos stashed away in a DVX facility, what else was he hiding? And what does this mean for Jen Sidwell? Sidwell is currently sitting in a cell at Pentonville with Curtis Ashford. Sidwell just rejected Sonny's offer of protection behind bars. Of course he rejected it. He didn't need Sonny's protection because he had Justine on the outside, dismantling Sonny's empire from the inside out. This whole false peace that Carly was so terrified about, Carly was 100% right. Carly had that epiphany that an unseen enemy was waiting in the wings to take over Port Charles, and the enemy was literally sitting at Sonny's dinner table. Speaking of Carly, how is Carly going to react? Oh my god, Carly is going to absolutely lose her mind. Morgan was her baby. The grief of losing Morgan fundamentally changed Carly. When she finds out that he is alive, and that Sonny's new girlfriend is the one who tortured him, Carly is going to bypass the police, bypass the WSB, and she's going to murder Justine Turner with her bare hands. And honestly, I'm completely here for it. I know some people are loving this new, softer Sonny who is trying to be a legitimate businessman, but personally, I need the ruthless mob boss back. You do not mess with Sonny Corinthos' children. You do not lock his son in a cage for years, seduce him, and try to steal his territory. If Sonny believes Morgan, and he has to believe Morgan, Justine is not making it out of Port Charles alive. But it's not going to be that simple, is it? Because Justine is a highly trained operative. She isn't just going to sit there and let Sonny take her out. If her cover is blown, she is going to strike back. And she has the entire backing of whatever is left of Cullum's DVX faction and Sidwell's syndicate. And what about Morgan's mental state? Morgan had bipolar disorder, just like Sonny. He was spiraling before he died because Ava Jerome swapped his medication with placebo. Side note, how is Ava going to handle Morgan being back, knowing what she did to him right before he died? If Morgan has been held captive by the DVX for almost a decade, without proper treatment, subjected to psychological and physical torture, he is going to be a loose cannon. He is a broken man. I am so incredibly invested in this. The writers have completely outdone themselves. They took a legacy character, brought him back from the dead in a way that actually makes logical sense within the current spy mob storylines, and tied him directly to the villains we are currently fighting. It integrates the WSB DVX plot with the local Port Charles mob plot perfectly. I can't stop thinking about the look on Morgan's face. He didn't look relieved to be home. He looked like a soldier who was still at war. He pointed at Justine not just to expose her, but to execute her. I genuinely think if Sonny hadn't been sitting there, Morgan would have pulled a gun and shot her right in the middle of the restaurant. And Justine. Wow. The sheer nerve. To look a grieving father in the eye, sleep in his bed, and know you are holding his son hostage. That is a level of villainy we haven't seen since César Faison. She is cold, she is calculating, and she is incredibly dangerous. So what happens next? Does Sonny pull a gun on Justine right there? Does Justine have backup waiting outside Pizzulo's? Does Morgan run? I feel like Sonny is going to be in such a state of shock that Justine might actually manage to slip away. She'll play the victim, cause a distraction, and vanish into the night, leaving Sonny and Morgan alone to finally face each other. And how did Morgan escape? Did someone let him out? Did Z, the new head of the WSB, raid the DVX facility and find him? Or did Morgan break himself out? There are so many unanswered questions, and I need the next episode immediately. I am so sorry for rambling, but I just had to get all of this out of my system. This is the kind of storytelling that keeps us watching year after year. The stakes have never been higher, the emotional payoff is going to be astronomical, and the Corinthos family is about to be turned completely upside down. Will Sonny believe his resurrected son, or will Justine's toxic web of lies tear the Corinthos family apart forever? Drop your wildest theories in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe.